this week's episode, we talk about using beer in our cooking, and PRF or Chuck Reed stops by.
Welcome in once again to Punk Rock Foodies Radio, coming at you live from downtown Mattersville at the Vicious Pig Saloon. This is your one-stop shop for everything punk rock and food. And now, your hosts, Steve Guerrero, Skate Rat Betty, Brian Reinhardt, and the asshole in charge, Xander T.
All right, that was the band Diesel Boy playing a song called Emo Boy, which is kind of confusing, but whatever. You're listening to Punk Rock Foodies Radio.
For some reason.
Diesel Boy.
I like Diesel Boy. I like Diesel Boy. No, I said they're listening to the show for some reason. I don't know why they would be.
Okay.
Must have lost a bet.
Exactly.
You want to hear about some beer talk amongst some punk rockers and listen to some good music.
Yeah.
That might be the case, too. You can't rule
We might
that
talk
out.
about it this week.
People like that sometimes.
Yeah.
So, and I am the asshole in charge of Punk Rock Foodies, Xander T, and with me today is
Steve Guerrero.
And Brian Reinhardt.
And Skate Rat is using up as much of her maternity leave before she has the baby. So,
once the baby comes, she's going to run out real quick. When the baby comes, she's going to be doing the show with the baby.
We're never going to hear from her again.
Yeah.
Well,
she's working on it. For those of you who don't know, Punk Rock Foodies is a Facebook group. Get on Punk Rock Foodies, you make food, you take a picture of that food, and then you post it in the group. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. And apparently if you're from Germany, you don't know what a collage app is. So, and then you start being a real dick about it. But I digress. But we're all into food. And
I need food to live. It's awesome. Like, I have to have it.
You have that problem
addicted.
too?
Yeah.
Addicted, baby. Addicted.
Dude, it's got to happen 3 times
And
a day.
punk rock too. I need punk rock to live.
Absolutely.
So let's keep you alive.
Okay.
And let's play some punk rock.
Well, I got a perfect song to kick this episode off. Let's get little Bastard Sons on. Let's hear My Pint on Punk Rock Foodies Radio. Woo!
Well, now sometimes it's coming on too strong, and I just can't seem to get along. I always try to write a song, but sometimes the words ain't coming out right. Just my knees left tonight, but it just helps me get along. Yeah, I feel like drinking tonight. Hey, everything is wrong, and nothing is right, and my kitty say we live a life for sin. But when it's all been said and done, you can also say we've had more fun, and that's all that matters in the end. I feel like drinking tonight. Hey, everything is wrong and nothing is right, and my kid is you will find. Oh, that's alright, as long as I've got a mind, Lord. That's alright, as long as I've got a mind. Well, I set up, down, flip it around, just sit up next and then take it to town, and I can't even try to stay above the ground, and I won't even try 'cause it's a different sound, 'cause I know I should just sail away. Whoa, I said nothing is wrong, everything's right, fucking up shit on a Saturday night, and those tires I might just can't say it's sad, and I won't even try to uphold it like 'cause I say, to the Lord I pray. Whoa, I say, and I kick a little something for the cheese, and make some fucking money if you please, and bring the dirty critics to the knees, and show the biggest dog that whatever please, and kick a little something for the cheese, and make some fucking money if you please, and bring the dirty critics to the knees, and show the biggest dog that whatever please, and kick a little something for the cheese, and make some fucking money if you please, and bring the dirty critics to the knees, and show the biggest dog that whatever please, and kick a little something for the cheese, and make some fucking money if you please, as long as I've got a pint, Lord, that's alright, as long as I've got a pint, biddy ba ba, biddy ba ba, biddy ba ba, and I said, can I kick a little something for the cheese, and make some fucking money if you please, and bring the dirty critics to the knees, and show the pig and start to get them off fleas, and I kick a little something for the cheese, and make some fucking money if you please, as long as I've got a pint, Lord, that's alright, as long as I've got a pint. I feel like drinking tonight. Hey, hey, everything is wrong and nothing is right, and my kitty is to a fight, but that's alright, as long as I've got a pint, Lord, that's alright, as long as I've got a pint.
right, we all know Frank Turner, and a lot of people don't know that Frank Turner used to be in kind of a screamy punk band called Million Dead, and that was a song called I Gave My Eyes to Stevie Wonder. It kind of gives a little insight into what that band could have been if Frank and the rest of them didn't fucking hate each other at the end and they had to break up. Very good song. I love it. It really pumps me up. It's super heavy and screamy and very unlike his solo stuff.
You say, he just reminded me, I forgot to bring this up whenever we were talking about our guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
And Steve brought up Hall & Oates.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys hate each other.
Yep.
They, hate each other with so much fucking passion. Like, they won't even stay in the same hotel.
They don't even acknowledge each other to this day.
Yeah, and then they just go on stage, they do their thing, they get paid, and they leave.
Mm-hmm.
You know? That's pretty fucked up. But
that's pretty much how Punk Rock Foodies Radio works. That's kind of how this all goes down every week. I don't know if you've noticed. But no, my understanding is Frank and the rest of those guys from Million Dead fucking hated each other, like physical violence, and then they just had to break up. And they were a really good band, but obviously he was the talent, you know. So
like Oasis.
Yeah, Oasis, but not as big a douchebag.
Dude, I hear Oasis on the radio now, and it's just like, how was that even good music back then? The guy's voice is so whiny.
Dude, that was the whiny time of
society. You just look back when Oasis was big. It's like, wow.
Coldplay, so Coldplay should thank Oasis for that, for opening the whiny-ass door of pop music.
And when you hear Oasis, a couple of those songs I like, but you hear those songs and you're just like, wow, people really used to like cocaine.
So this week, again, another boys' week, which happens.
We call it a log jam. Sausage fest.
Sausage fest. Big. You know, they do have their sausage fest every first Saturday of every month here, and man, the food they serve is amazing. But I digress once again.
Stop digressing.
It's a meat potato Monday here at the Vicious Pig.
So we usually tend to, when Skate Rat's not here, kind of just talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about.
Penises.
I guess she's kind of the glue that keeps us together.
She's our structure. Yeah, absolutely.
She's the one adult on this show.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So we decided we're going to try to keep it from being the usual music and beer, even though we've already started talking about music. And we're going to actually still lean towards beer. And we're going to discuss food. Food that just pairs well with beer. Doesn't matter what beer. If you're a Miller High Life champagne of ales kind of guy, or you want that $300 bottle of Sam Adams, whatever the hell that shit is.
Utopia.
Yeah, you know, but the food that goes with it.
Yes.
So,
yeah, there's a lot of beer pairing dinners all over the place like these days. It's a real trendy thing to do, so we're going to be trendy here today.
Well, and that, you know, you're right. There's absolutely the craft beer industry has kind of gone off in that like wine, you know, that you can, you know, this dish would taste really good with this beer, especially if you go to a lot of brew pubs. Obviously, they're going to use their beers to pair with the food. But what I'm saying is, just like in general, like when I'm grilling, I need a beer. Mm-hmm. You know, no matter what I'm grilling, I turn that grill on, I need a beer.
I've got some friends who are not necessarily into craft beer. They like beer, but they don't like craft beer, and they ask me on occasion. I'll get the question, what is the appeal of craft beer, like real craft beer? And I say, there's two things when it comes to really good beer. A, when you're hanging out with your friends and you're drinking it, it lubricates conversation, and it just kind of enhances conversation. And also, good beer accentuates and enhances good food. And there's a lot of pairings, whether it's cheese or sandwiches or just different soups and things like that, and you can incorporate them into your cooking. And it's a lot more options than I ever thought were possible.
Absolutely. We cook a lot of chicken around here, and chicken and an IPA always go good with me, because we usually get a little bit of a crust on it with the cast iron, usually doing chicken thighs, and season them pretty well, but like that nice crisp IPA can kind of wake it up, especially if you do like something that has maybe like a little bit of lemon, like we've done chicken over like lemon spinach and something like that, so the citrusness is bouncing off each other. That shit turns out real good, and Racer 5 is probably one of my go-to IPAs. That's just really well-crafted beer, and it's easy to get a hold of. And in a world of expensive beers, it's a pretty, the way I call it, I call them the working's man craft beer. Like that's kind of my style. Like there's beers that are like $9, $10, $12 a bottle, and those start getting on my price range. So stuff that's like $6, $7 a bottle, I'm a lot more inclined to buy a couple of those bombers instead of trying to buy one that's like $15. I mean, we got a lot of good beers out here, but yeah, an IPA with a nice chicken and lemon spinach, that's a good little dish right there. That's a good beer.
Yeah, you definitely have that like citrusy aftertaste of an IPA that would definitely go well with, any food you're cooking that's got some citrus to it, which obviously lends itself to chicken or like a fish.
Hoppy beer goes good with white meat, just as a general rule. To me, like you want something. Look, I'll drink. It's not like when you have a.
Is that what Sheena thinks too?
Yeah, that was just.
Fuck off, Xander.
It's not like when it's 100 degrees outside and you're grilling some chicken thighs or something. You're not going to reach for a Russian Imperial Stout. You know what I mean? Generally speaking, maybe you will, but I probably wouldn't. So it all depends on. But chicken generally goes with a nice hoppy beer.
To me, like a Russian Imperial Stout is like a winter,
cold weather
type of a beer.
Absolutely.
They say like gin and tonics and like vodka tonics are like a summery, they're more refreshing, and then in the winter it's more about like Manhattans and like the whiskeys and I'll drink whiskey anytime, but so I feel the same way with beer. You get a nice IPA that's got that crispness. That's to me, that's more of a summery type. Yeah.
We actually
Russian Imperial Stout would totally be with.
We actually incorporated yesterday. I was grilling with a few of my friends. All of them are on Punk Rock Foodies. I might be interviewing my friend Al at some point. But we did a bunch of ribs. We did a bunch of chicken, and then my buddy Kyle brought a nice flank steak, just a cheap flank steak that he got at the store. But he had been marinating in a really strong Russian Imperial Stout overnight. And when we took that out, and we threw it on the grill, and then we sliced it up. It had that super heavy sweetness. He didn't season the meat at all. He just put it he just marinated overnight with a nice sweet Russian Imperial, and it came out really, really sweet and tender. And we're thinking like we might want to try and make some tacos with that at some point.
Yeah,
that sounds
very,
good.
very sugary, and we just ate it straight. No cheese, no sauce, nothing. Just sliced it up and kind of ate it like a snack, like a finger food.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Did you get the flavors of the Imperial Stout? Like, did all the flavors come through?
It was really, really sweet, and it kept the meat nice and tender. So it was super good. It was kind of like candy. Really, really interesting, and it was really cheap meat. It was cheap meat, and it still came out good.
I've done a corned beef brisket in Guinness.
Okay.
Crock pot, and you could. I've done it before with just water, and I've done it with Guinness. And with the Guinness, obviously, you can definitely taste that. It definitely has a different flavor to it than if you just did it with water.
I did one this year, and I did with Stone Smoked Porter, and it was fantastic.
I remember when you did that. I remember you were talking about that. It sounded awesome.
Well, same with like when I do shrimp. When I do shrimp cocktail shrimp or peel and eat shrimp, I do that with beer instead of water. And I usually I get just, I don't know why, maybe it's because of the size, but like an oil can of Foster's. And a pound of shrimp, and that oil can, that covers it perfectly in the pot there. Boil it away. And that just, it adds so much more. I don't know if it adds more flavor, but it doesn't take flavor away. I feel like water is
It definitely adds flavor, and here's the key. Foster's is not considered a really good beer, but it does have a strong flavor. But it has a strong flavor.
Yeah.
When people, in my experience, friends of mine when I was younger, when you cook or you boil brats or whatever in some beer, a lot of times people will use like Busch Light or some just bullshit beer. You gotta use something that's either good or at least something like Foster's, which maybe not be as good beer, but has a nice, strong, sharp flavor. Because otherwise, what are you doing? You might as well just use water, Use something with some kick.
I do. Yeah, I do. I make this one dish. This is like the greatest fucking dish ever. So I make Indian fry bread.
This better be good.
Basically like tortillas with the fry bread. So, it's about as big as maybe like an 8-inch tortilla. Mm-hmm. So 8 inches. Then I boil brats in a dark beer, and like a dark beer. Like I get like Beck's dark, and then I hit them on the grill. Mm-hmm. But so you put those in the Indian fry bread tortilla thing, and I top it with homemade coleslaw and a corn relish that I make homemade. And so you eat it like a hot dog. It's so fucking
That sounds good.
And if I the first time I ever made it, I was like, it's got to be some kind of dark beer. Actually, I think the first time I ever made it with Abbey, the Abbey Ale, and then I was like, well, I'll just use dark beer from now on. But really good. And that
you want to use something with some flavor for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, we've done it where we've boiled some brats or whatever we're making, or some chili, and we would use really bad beer, and it was fucking pointless. It's like you're actively ruining it. You might as well use something, even if it's not very good beer, like Beck's Dark. I don't really like that beer, but that would be great to boil some brats in. Like that's perfect for that.
Yeah, it adds that beer flavor.
And you're not going to go broke buying it to boil it.
Exactly. Well, that's the other thing. Like, I don't want to spend a ton of money on some good beer that I'm not going to be drinking.
Yeah, I'd feel a little weird boiling an IPA. I'd do it, but I'd be like, shit, I should be drinking this.
Well, Steve, you had that one time you said about you had that IPA that in that growler that you accidentally left open.
Yeah.
And then you used it for like a barbecue sauce.
Mm-hmm. because it doesn't matter if it's flat; it still has a flavor. So I used that, and it was great. It came out delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do that this summer. I was thinking about doing like an IPA barbecue sauce with like berries, like some like blackberries or something as well.
We should do a theme weekend, cooking with beer.
Yeah.
And there's
and maybe you can even put it in the dish.
Yeah, and there's non-alcoholic beers. There's non-alcoholic beers that those of us that don't drink can use. There's plenty of stuff. I wouldn't drink it, but there's stuff with some flavor.
You know what? There is some non-alcoholic beers that have some flavor.
It's coming around. It's coming around a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's one beer that I would love to cook with. I didn't really like it that much, like the taste of it, because it just tastes weird in a beer. But I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's Ballast Point, and it's called Indra Canindra. And it's a curry export stout. It's got curry, cumin, cayenne, coconut, and kaffir lime leaf.
Okay.
So it's got huge flavors. So it was a little, drinking a bomber that was a little tough, especially at the end, because it started, you get that cayenne and start burning your throat, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm kind of ready to move on to the next one.
I'm so glad you said that, because when I was just talking about my buddy who made the flank steak, when I said it was a stout, it was Indra Canindra. I totally misspoke. That's literally what he had it in over last night. I couldn't remember the name of it. And as soon as you said it, I was like, shit. He's like, yeah, this is a beer from Ballast Point called Indra Canindra. What style is it? What style is it?
It's it says Indian Export Ale, Indian Export Stout.
Okay, it is a stout. Okay,
India stout.
That's what he used.
Stout, yeah.
That's what he used for the flank steak last night. It was Indra Canindra. I couldn't think of the name. I can't believe you just said it. We literally did it yesterday. It's great to use for some steak, dude. It was really, it was an interesting flavor. Interesting flavor.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. That beer, it was kind of hard to choke down a whole 22 of it, but, dude.
I can't believe you just said it out of nowhere. That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that bringing that up, that just made me think of Flying Dog just came out with a mango habanero beer.
Okay.
Ooh.
And so I can't. I mean, that's got to be something. I can imagine cooking with that.
Dude, cook some shrimp in that. Oh
my God!
Now you're talking.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. That sounds fucking good.
Yeah.
I would cook in that, but I probably wouldn't drink it. I don't like spicy beers. Kind of a pussy.
I'm going to send you Jailbreak Brewery has the Scoville beer, and I'm going to send that to you.
Okay. I owe you guys a bunch of beers. We got to do an episode where I send you guys all beers. We got to still plan that out for the listeners.
Yeah.
I already know what I'm sending you guys.
That was a great episode.
I know. We had like 4 listeners that week. It was fucking awesome.
We got to do a big summer one, for summer beers and just have some fun.
Ooh, yeah, some summer beers.
We'll take it outside of the patio here at the Vicious Pig.
We'll do a day drinking episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll work.
Flip flops and hoppy beers. Boom.
Cargo shorts. Yeah, Dave Matthews.
We can all pilot my Prius. Yeah.
Let's go. Sounds good to me, man. Yeah, we can do that every day. I'll record every day if we do that kind of shit.
Maybe we should play a little music.
Yeah, all right, so let's play some music and come back and talk about beers and cooking, or drinking and food.
Yeah. We like all those things.
All right. Well, since we're talking about beer, how about one of my favorite brands to drink beer to, which also have a great name and kind of sound like drinking beer? How about a little Poor Habit with Matter of Opinion here on Punk Rock Foodies Radio? Let's talk about more beer when we get back. Woo!
Can't wait.
Chris and Lagwagon, and I want to eat you alive. Punk Rock Foodies. Listen, eat, learn.
Things I never done, she's through with the sandwich. Things I never done, she's off of heroin. Cindy is doing well, we're glad to have her home. She slept in vomit, now she sleeps on methadone. But she stopped ripping off her neighbor, stopped taking change from strangers, stopped shooting needles full of dreams into her arms.
Graves Misfits
All right, that was-
episode. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
It's okay. Yeah, you did. And now-
So anyway, here's Xander T. Hey.
There you go. And that was Screeching Weasel with Cindy's on Methadone. I love that song. I hate Screeching Weasel. I hate Ben Weasel, but I love that song. And we're talking beer mostly. And cooking with beer, and cooking while drinking beer and food, and that's pretty much...
It's a pro-beer show in general.
Yes. Usually is when it's just the boys, skate rats on maternity leave still. Comes and goes.
Mm-hmm. She hasn't even had the kid yet. That's pretty... she's living the life.
She's having one of the pregnancy flare-ups.
Yeah. Like, I'm feeling more pregnant than I was yesterday. Hopefully it dies down tomorrow.
But, we were saying about, like... This all started because we were talking about grilling and having to have a beer when you're grilling. But, the one thing I was thinking of is, like, when I eat pizza, I want beer. Mm-hmm. When I eat hamburger, I want beer. Mm-hmm. When I'm sitting in a fucking arena watching a hockey game, I want to have a beer. What is, other than, like, when I wake up, I want a beer, like, what are some of the other, like, types of foods that just, like, they scream, you need to have a beer with this?
It has to be a food where you chew. It has to be a food where you're chewing something. Soup is not going to work with beer. A burger, pizza, like you're saying, if you're chewing and you need to wash something down, that's when you need beer. Tacos.
Fish tacos and Negro Modelo. That's a great little combo right there. I love Negro Modelo. I'll never stop drinking that beer. All the other Mexican beers I stopped drinking. Pacifico, I used to drink that a lot when I was in my early 20s, and dude, it just tastes like water to me now. It's like so...
I don't think I've had the Negro Modelo. I've liked the regular Modelo. I was introduced to by some El Salvadorians.
Well, I'll tell you what. Some friends of mine left some regular Modelo in our fridge about 6 months ago, and it's still there. So when I see you, I'll just give it to you. It's aged.
Okay.
It's aged for 6 months. But the Negro Modelo, I have not had that. I can't really speak on that.
That's a good one, man. It's a little darker. It's like a dark lager, so it's nice. It's put a little lime in there, but with a fish taco, good fish taco. That's nice. Little pairing there.
I bartended at Cinco de Mayo one time, and we ran out of Corona because everybody's like, "Oh, we gotta have a Corona at Cinco de Mayo." Gotta get Corona, right? So we ran out of Corona, and then, like, the people are like, "I want a Corona." Like, we're all out. Well, what other Mexican beers do you have? It's like, you're only drinking Mexican beer because it's Cinco de Mayo, like. And so that's what we had. We had Modelo Negro. We ran out of regular Modelo, and I'm selling them the Negro.
And those assholes don't know shit. You could pour them a Miller Lite in a glass, and they'd be like, "Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. This is super Mexican."
Yeah, exactly.
Just put lime in it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Give them a Miller Chill.
Yeah, Bud Light lime with a lime. Fuck off.
You guys ever drink Caribe?
No.
No.
It's a Caribbean beer. And I swear to God, this is the beer. I might be wrong, but I had it one time, and it was so good. It was so refreshing, like summertime, totally. It's got, like, lime in it, like lime juice mixed in with it. And it was just so fucking refreshing. And then, like, it disappeared from the place I used to get it. Then I swear to God, like, it was like 2 years later, it came back, and I'm pretty sure it's that beer. It's called Caribe.
Caribe with a K or a C?
C.
Okay.
Like Caribbean.
Okay.
But,
well, here's a question for you guys, because we're talking about grilling and kind of maybe like day drinking. What are some good? And I know Steve is familiar with this term. Xander, are you familiar with session ales?
I know. I have no fucking clue what it is.
Low alcohol craft beer. Like Steve, what are some session ale? Like a Founders All Day IPA. Have you had that?
I was just about to say that's the go-to one right there right now.
Kind of the standard. That is, I mean, I could drink, and Founders All Day IPA tastes delicious. It's hoppy, and I could drink it from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and not get drunk. So like I can drink. That's hence the name. I could drink all day with my friends. I could cook. I could grill. I could build a house and still be good. To do what I need to do.
Still throw the fuck out of people.
Like, what are some sessions that you like? Like, I love, like, 3 Floyd's Yum Yum, because obviously I'm right here. But there's a lot of good sessions out there. That what are some that you like, Steve?
Yeah, no, the all day. My buddy, he comes by and he brings his daughter, and we hang out by the pool all day drinking. And he brings a 15-pack of that for like he gets for like $18-19. So it's like a perfect
15-pack.
Yeah, I know. It's got like the 3 bonus. That's why it's like
it's a weird.
Why? Because like a 12-pack isn't enough, and 18 would be out of the question. Like it's
there's no alcohol in there. You could drink all 18 and be good.
Here's a small suitcase of beer for your daily drinking pleasure, and but that's a good one. I forgot who makes the even keel. If it's Pizza Port or no, it's not Pizza Port. Pizza Port makes the SIPA, the Session IPA. That one's really good. But Pizza Port doesn't really make any bad beers. So,
what are some local ones by? What are some local ones by you there, Steve? That in your area that we probably have not seen, but you would.
Noble Brewing. They're right next to Anaheim Stadium. They have one called Nose Candy, which doesn't sound like it would be a low ABV beer, but
sounds like it might wake you up a little bit.
Apparently it is. Yeah, right. But yeah, that's probably the most popular one right now. The even keel. I forget who makes it, but that's a local one. And I don't drink too many session IPAs or session beers, just because. Yeah.
So what's the reason for calling it a session? Like just because it's like
you could have more in a session than you could with the bigger beers.
Yeah, it kind of I don't know where the word session comes from, but it means like you can have a session with your friends and still get stuff done. Like you can drink a long time with people and still be an adult and still drive a car or
so like when you say low ABV,
like under 5%. Less than 5%.
Yeah, it's between like 4.2 and 4.6 somewhere in there. Yeah. It's usually what those come in at.
Yeah, like all day is probably about 4.5, 4.7. Like Yum Yum is like 4.4. There's one.
Okay, so that'd be like Flying Dog's Easy IPA. I think that's like a 4.6.
Yes, then that would be a session. That would be a session ale, and those are really good to keep around, especially in the hot summer months. If people come around and someone's. A bunch of people come over and like there's one guy or a girl who's driving, like, oh, I don't know, I'm driving. Well, you can have 1 or 2 of these and you'll be fine. You give them that instead of the the 10% double IPA. You can give them a session and they'll still get that flavor and still feel involved. You won't give them a Hop Stupid, which Xander is sucking on right now for the listeners. But I love a good session IPA. There's some that aren't even IPAs. There's one from there's a dry stout from a brewery near me called Urban Legend, and it's called Tree Hugger, and it's got a picture of Al Gore holding a tree, and it is a dry stout like Guinness, and it's 3.5%, and it's very very dry, very very, but it tastes very very good, and there's almost no alcohol. Like I couldn't get drunk off of it.
There's a whole brewery out here somewhere in Orange County called McLeod's. And all they do is those kind of beers, like British style ones are all within like the 3 to 4. Like I don't think they go over 4.5% on any of their beers.
There's a need for that. Crazy. It's a good thing to have. You got to have beers like that around. You can't, if people come over to your house, you can't just keep handing them 12% beers.
You know what's something that's crazy, and this is something that kind of like I don't understand how this was possible, but whenever I go to like the local place, Smoke, this little barbecue joint, they have their beers, right? And they tell you it's ABV, and then they tell you what it's served out of. If it's over a certain ABV, it's served out of the tulip glass, blah blah blah. But the sour beers they have, they're somewhere like 3.5%, and they're served out of a tulip glass, so you get smaller pours, and it's like $12 instead of like an $8 for like an IPA. What the fuck, dude? Those beers suck as is.
Yeah.
You're trying to get me to pay more for less of a shitty beer. Sours just piss me off, dude.
I don't like sours. Do you like sours, Xander? I do not like sours.
I have never had one in my life. I haven't even heard of them until we started this.
You're not missing out. It's basically just heavy bacteria.
It's like dry champagne with a weird aftertaste.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, when I walk in to a brew pub for dinner, and I see their board of their beers, what I do is I look and I see, first I look at ABV, and I compare ABV and price, because I'm thinking, I want to get drunk, but I don't want to pay too much.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then I also look at size, like am I getting a 16 ounce, or am I getting one of these like 10 ounce tulip cups?
Size matters.
And it does, that's what they say, and I always tend to go that direction. Like, okay, well, this is 10%, and it's $8, and I'll do that. I don't even know what the fucking kind of beer it is. Like, but I will say, since starting Punk Rock Foodies and since this radio show, I have actually started paying closer attention to the actual beer itself. Like, is it an IPA? Is it a blonde? Is it a lager? Is it, and
well, two things: ABV and IBU. IBU is another thing to pay attention to, and I'm still still trying to figure that out.
IBU, I swear to God, I don't think it's as.
If you like drinking a hop stupid, you're fine with IBUs.
Yeah, he's drinking hop stupid right out of the bottle. You know, you're fine with.
But I'm looking at it's 102 IBU.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything over
That's
70
what I
is
hear.
pretty good. You know?
Yeah.
But I swear to God, I've had more of a hoppier beer that's got a less IBU.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know. I feel like it's not as regulated. Like, there's no way to really judge it other than somebody's taste, and they say, "Oh yeah, this is definitely."
Well, it's not always going to be black and white. I've had some that are 65 that taste super hoppy, and then I've had some over 80 that you don't get it. But if it's really sugary, it can overpower it and it can taste less hoppy.
Yeah, that's true.
But isn't the IBU on the bottle what it is at the finishing? Because can't IPA get more hop as it sits in the bottle for a little bit? I mean, it's not like a long time, but after.
Well, that would make sense. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know enough.
Yeah, I don't either.
But that would make sense because you're right. Because they would they can like I mean an IPA is specifically they throw the hops in to like re-hop it. Mm-hmm. That was the whole point of it. It's an Indian Pale Ale because it came from Britain to India, and the beer wasn't as good when it finally got to India on the boat. So right before they would put it in the barrels, they added more hops, and so as it made its journey to India, it got that bitterness, and that's when it became an Indian Pale Ale.
Is it Miller Lite that says it's like triple hopped? Like on the label, it's like, oh, Miller Lite is triple hopped. What the fuck kind of hops are you using?
I think it's triple distilled, which I don't know.
No, they're like, oh, it's hopped 3 times. I'm like, well, what the fuck kind of...
Yeah.
I think what that means is when they're brewing it, they jump, like they hop. They don't actually use hops. Because I certainly don't taste any hops in that fucking shit.
I used to drink Miller Lite.
And that's my joke of the week. Thank you very much, everybody. All right.
We all heard it.
Yeah, you heard it. All right, good.
No, I used to drink Miller Lite all the time, and like that was my beer I'd always have in the house. And like anymore, I don't know the last time I bought Miller Lite. Well, I bought Miller Lite for my birthday week extravaganza because I knew I was going to drink a lot of beer. Mm-hmm. But prior to that, I don't know.
I have it when people give it to me at a party.
Yeah.
Like I'll go to someone's house and they're like, here, have a Miller Lite.
I like having those on deck just to kind of, balance it out with, so you're not drinking all your craft beers in one night.
Well, yeah, and sometimes someone comes over, like you have a guest over and you don't like them very much and you don't want to give them the good beer. It's like, here, you should have a Miller Lite because I don't like you very much.
Yeah. Well, it's like, my ex-wife used to drink rum and cokes all the time, and she at least, in some aspect was intelligent enough to realize I'm going to drink 2 Captain
aspects. I love it.
I'm going to drink 2 Captain Cokes and then just switch to rail because by that point I'm not tasting it anyway, so what's the difference? I just get fucked up.
Hey, do you guys get the Stone Enjoy Buys out by you? Where you guys?
Yes.
Where you guys live?
I get it all the time.
Oh yeah,
Very good.
I have an Enjoy by Halloween of this year hanging in my wine rack right now.
But you drank it already, right?
Not yet. I'll enjoy it by Halloween.
Okay. Well, the thing about the Enjoy By is you have to drink it very quickly.
Yeah, they're made to be drank.
It gives you the
fresh
date that you need to drink it by.
Maximum hot power.
Yeah, the Enjoy Bys are quite good.
Kevin.
I like them quite a bit.
I'll have it.
Yeah, the Enjoy by 420 one's amazing. That one's like a big double IPA. And I actually went to the pizza place down here a couple weeks ago and had it. And yeah, I flirted with the gay guy to give me a full pour. So yeah,
you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
It was. Hey, that beer is fucking awesome. And they poured it in a little tulip glass. I was like, come on, man. How about a pint glass for me? Like, think you can hook me up, with a pint glass. Like, well, sir, there's supposed to be 8-ounce pours. I'm like, here's a couple dollars. Just make sure that, I get a pint glass. Sure enough, big old pint glass.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sexy bitch.
No, you gotta throw the charm every once in a while.
Yeah, turn up the bass on that sexy Steve Guerrero voice. Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
There you go.
Have we had our Mexican moment yet? He did talk about Modelo. Is that our Mexican moment?
I thought it was gonna be, but it didn't turn out to be. So
Yeah. It's like I got cold feet crossing the border.
Yeah, we don't always have a Mexican moment, but it
Hey, I will say this: my buddy down at Kings Harbor, Brew Company in Redondo Beach made a Modelo Negro style craft lager. It's called Cerveza Hermosa, and we actually had a keg of that for my 40th birthday party. Dude, that thing went so fast. It was so fucking good.
You're 40?
I'm 40.
Oh my God, I'm a
40.
man. I'm 40.
Yeah.
It's old fucker. You're not supposed to trust anybody over 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Surprised a lot of people, but I don't feel 40.
I don't feel 30.
No, 39. I don't feel that either. Except in the mornings when I get out of bed.
I was at a punk show this weekend, man. I still get out there.
You're the only one who didn't get carded.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I still got carded, dude. There's the place called Slide Bar in Fullerton. It's amazing.
That place
They have,
looks ridiculous. The food at that place looks amazing.
Yeah, it's got they've revamped the menu. The manager there has totally gone all in and stepped up their culinary game. But it's crazy. It's got 2 rooms. One's the back room, which is kind of the front room because of the way it's faced, but whatever. And that's where the punk bands play. And then all outside there's a big bar. And dude, you walk outside that punk room, and then it's just a whole nother world of punk, just hip hop and all these mid 20-year-olds, and just everybody's dressed up to the nines. You're like, fuck, dude. I just walked out of a punk show. This is just weird, dude.
There's a place like that in Chicago called Subterranean. It's 2 levels. Upstairs is the punk venue. Downstairs is a fancy bar where there's hip-hop shows. And a lot of times they'll be going at the same time. And both venues use the same staircase. So you get very different people using the staircase at the same time. It's very interesting, subcultures kind of meeting. It's super cool.
Nothing wrong with that. Cultures, colliding like that. That's
it was crazy. All the girls were all done up. It was a Saturday night, so everybody's all done up to the nines. It's kind of funny, man. I'm like, fuck, dude. Get my flannel, get my fucking black T-shirt. I'm getting out of here.
all right. Let's listen to some tunes. We'll have we got actually Punk Rock Foodie member Chuck Reed will be joining us. He's a big beer guy.
Well, let's see ourselves out with this song here, a little Street Dogs action with Stand Up from the Savin Hill album. This is Punk Rock Foodies Radio. Let's go grab a beer and have a coldie. Yeah.
You want to try that again?
Yeah.
No, leave it as is. That was good.
Yeah, leave it. Who cares?
Sometimes I feel, but I know it's not real. I've told myself this a million times before, time and time again. Try to say things till the end, but sometimes something seems to hold me right down to the ground. Hey!
rock band, we're a new wave band. But there's just one problem. Is my cock big enough? Is my brain small enough for you to make me a star? Give me a toot, I'll sell you my soul. Pull my strings and I'll go far. Give me a toot, I'll sell you my soul. Pull my strings and I'll go far. And when I'm rich, Mom hopes to shoot some golf and shoot some dope. Is my cock big enough? Is my brain small enough for you to make me a star? Give me a toot, I'll sell you my soul. Pull my strings and I'll go far. Guitar! Everybody put your hands together. Is my cock big enough? Is my brain small enough for you to make me a star? Everybody sing it one time. Is my cock big enough? Is my brain small enough for you to make me a star? Shut up and dance, everybody. Is my cock big enough? Is my brain small enough for you to make me a star? Give me a toot, I'll show you my soul. Oh, my strings and all the fun. One more time. Give me a toot, I'll show you my soul. Oh, my strings and all the fun. My brother,
that was Dead Kennedys with Pull My Strings. You're listening to Punk Rock Foodies Radio. With us today is Punk Rock Foodie member Chuck Reed. Chuck, how you doing?
Good, Zan. How's it going?
Good. So we've been talking about beer as we like to do when it's just the boys, and I know you're a big beer fan. What beer do you like to go for on the norm?
On the norm, a nice light IPA, preferably something local. You and I talked about that before.
Yeah.
And we're in a big beer area here in Maryland and even the Mid-Atlantic. So I like to just stick with something local, something not too hobby, and something 5-6%, nothing crazy, and either that or something on the very other end of the spectrum, something like a Busch Light or a Natural Light.
Well, you got to balance it out.
Right.
Your wallet needs to balance it out.
Right. Then I drink just middle of the road priced beer after it's all averaged out.
Right. So as we were talking earlier, so you about IBUs. So you'd like a lower IBU type of, like say IPA or.
Yeah. Probably something in the maybe 60, 50 to 60 range, something like that. On occasion, some of those really hoppy, tongue twisting beers are good, but those aren't really. I don't know, not something I go for all the time.
Right. Well, and we were saying earlier about you're not, in the summertime when you're grilling. I said I have to have a beer no matter what I'm grilling. I don't care if I'm just throwing some asparagus on the grill. I need to, firing up the grill, I need a beer. And, we said getting something that'd be more refreshing or crisper as opposed to grabbing a Russian Imperial Stout, Would you agree that that's kind of, there's summertime beers and wintertime beers?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a seasonal beer drinker. And it goes, some summer with the lighter, crisper, more refreshing, into the fall. Don't really do too many pumpkin ales anymore. Kind of burn out on those. But, in the fall, I get the more roasty, malty porters. Winter, some of the winter beers, the winter warmers, the spice beers. And then spring kind of almost starts it over again until I get back to the summer beers, which, they're and I think that's my most, favorite style anyway, the crisp, light beers that are more appropriate, especially here in Maryland where it's, hot and humid a lot during the summer too.
Yeah, they're definitely more refreshing. And so, are you a shanty kind of guy, or rather stay away from that?
In the aspect of adding a lot of limes to a Corona or so that my fruit part being, I'll throw 4, 5, 6 limes
into the beer
and kind of make my own, but
but
as a whole, no, not really.
I'm not a big shanty fan.
No. There's a new beer, well, not new. Flying Dog's had it out for a couple. I don't know if it's in the second or third year. It's called Numero Uno.
Yeah,
and that's kind of been my go-to.
That's not a bad beer. I guess that would be considered a session because I believe it's a 4.7.
Right. Yeah. It's
ABV. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I like that. You can definitely. It's made with agave and lime.
Right.
And you can definitely taste the lime in it.
Right. So, and that being, a local brewery.
Right.
It's real easy to get, and plus we like supporting the local guys.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned earlier that they came out with their habanero mango habanero IPA. Have you tried that one yet?
I have not.
Yeah.
I think that's up at maybe 8%. If I remember, I don't know, something like that. But Maybe we need.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe we need a field trip to the tasting.
We may have to. You ever do any cooking with beer other than drinking while you're cooking?
I do add some beer to my steam pot when I'm steaming shrimp or crabs, but it's usually just a cheap lager or something. Most of the beer cooking I've done, I would kind of do in the wintertime and use it as part of the braising liquid for like short ribs or a stew or something like that, where I'll use a porter or something a little malty. You know, your Guinness stew, you know, something like that.
Well, like we said, it gets that flavor. You get that that added flavor to it.
Right. Yeah, and I haven't experimented more than that, other than you know, maybe some beer and cheddar soup, which I actually like to just make thicker and just use it for dip for pretzels.
Yeah.
Right. And then I don't know, sort of on the lines of cooking with beer. I mean, I like to, and I'm a novice at best, pair some of my foods with some beers.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm not definitely not a pro at that. I don't know if it's like wine. You know, when they say with wine, you just drink something that you like.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I go to first. But sometimes, yeah, it's nice to. Flying Dog has a. And I don't work for Flying Dog. I'm not sponsored by Flying Dog. They just are local, and it's easy to get there.
Flying Dog from Frederick, Maryland. Yeah. Chuck is from Mount Airy, Maryland. So
they have a new one. It's a smoked Chipotle, or it's a Chipotle ale with that they have. It's made with a little bit of chicory root, and it's aged on charred oak.
Okay.
Something like that. I did have some of that, and so it's got a nice little Chipotle flavor. Not a lot of heat, but you get that kind of smoke.
Right.
I did have that with some baby backs that I used kind of a sweet barbecue sauce, and that seemed to pair well.
Yeah, I could see that, especially with the smokiness of the beer and the ribs. That's so. Speaking of cooking, what are some of the things you like to cook?
Well, I'm a big. I spent up until halfway through high school in Central California, so I was raised on Mexican food. So I kind of gravitate towards that. You know, so anything with beans. It's fine. As much as I ate beans when I was a kid, I'm surprised I still like them. So Mexican food, a lot of so add something I know you don't like, cilantro, lime juice, a lot of the fresh Mexican, cilantro, lime juice, salsa fresca, or pico de gallo, and then you know, love enchiladas, whether it's red or green, and I've been experimenting, not too much, but making my own enchilada sauce. I'd always use the cans, but it's easy. I'm pretty good at making a green salsa verde, you know, like a tomatillo with jalapenos or serranos, and making a green sauce. But the red sauces I'm kind of getting into a little bit, but there's so many of those varieties of the red chilies. It's
majority of them.
Yeah. So basically, you know, I like Mexican, and on the other side, I don't make it. I've made it a few times, but it's really kind of difficult. I love, you know, Japanese or sushi, and so it's easier just to go out, just my wife and I, versus trying to go find a nice piece of sashimi and then, you know, cook all that for two people.
Yeah, I mean, when you make sushi, I mean, just even making the rice, you make enough rice to like feed like 25 people. Right. So it's like, how are you going to do that with just a couple of people? I mean, I've done it before with having a party,
right? And
even that we had a ton left over. You know, so
yeah. So if I could pick two things that I really enjoy, either cooking and or eating, it's pretty much any Mexican food and anything Japanese. You know, sushi.
I wouldn't say anything Japanese. You see some of their game shows? I mean,
start to get freaky.
Yeah, they're like an ass-eating game show or something.
Anything Japanese except.
We talked about the fact that you're a big beer guy and local. What are some of the local breweries in your area? And when I say your area, when I say his area, I don't mean a swimsuit area. I mean there's Mount Airy, Maryland it's a town, but there's a lot of farmland around it, and there's a lot of breweries popping up in the farmland. So what are some of the local ones that you really enjoy?
Right. I guess the first one that comes to mind is Milk House Brewing. They were actually the first farm brewery in Maryland. And the whole farm brewing thing took off. I think it might be 3 years this spring or summer, where the guy that owns Milk House, a former lawyer, helped draft the legislation to get it passed. Where, yeah, exactly. Where if you grow, and I don't know the details, but basically you have to grow a certain percentage of the ingredients on your farm, and if you do that, you can have a tasting room, and you have your own little brewery. So his was the first one. That one, I didn't count, but I think it's 4.6 miles from my house. Then on the I guess piggybacking on top of that, there's a winery by my house. Then they opened a brewery. It's called Red Shebin Brewing under that same farm brewing legislation. I guess they have a hop yard there. Milk House also has a hop yard where they grow their own hops. I think that's, other than maybe some bees where they use honey. I don't think they use any of their own malt or any of the other really ingredients, but those are too close to the house. In Frederick County and Montgomery County and Howard County, I think there's maybe just farm breweries. There's probably a half dozen now.
Yeah.
And then probably within a 30-mile radius, there's probably 20 breweries now. So.
Once you cross the Potomac into Virginia, you got there's a bunch out there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about down there. Yeah, there's a rack of them down there. So we're fortunate, I think, to live in this area where if you could drive an hour and be past 7 breweries on your way there. One of my favorites actually is up in Harrisburg or Hershey is Trogues.
Yeah.
So they have a nice tasting room and a really high-end menu. Tasting room menu that's seasonal, and they do their own charcuterie.
I love charcuterie.
Right, cheese boards. They do a lot of good stuff there, and it's right in the middle of Hershey.
Yeah.
So that's a place my wife and I have been a couple times. That's really nice. But there's a ton.
Yeah.
So I guess when I was out in California, on the Central Coast, I was really close to Firestone Walker. And that place was awesome too. So all the Firestone beers were like right there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It beats living in the middle of nowhere.
Hell yeah.
Having 100 choices instead of one.
Well, and that's just kind of the key. I mean, you gotta support your local brewery. It's. I mean, Ambev is buying everybody up. I don't know if you just heard, but they just bought up Devil's Backbone.
Right.
So
I just saw that today.
Yeah. So you got to support your local brewers and enjoy their beers. It's an art.
Until they sell out, and then support the next guy.
Yeah.
At least that's what I think. So I can't imagine AB InBev having good intentions as much as they say they do.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, support the little guy. Hopefully their beer's decent enough to warrant your support.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then once they get supported, then Ambev's like, oh, look at that, let's go buy them.
Yeah, let's go buy them. Right. Yeah.
So, well, I feel that no matter what, as long as there's a little guy that wants to make his own beer, there's going to be local beers that are going to bring in the people. So
yeah, exactly. And then if you're lucky enough, like I was when I lived in Baltimore, I had a homebrewer neighbor who was a really good homebrewer.
Nice.
Who always had 2 to 3 on tap at any time in his converted kegerator fridge.
Nice.
In his basement. So you can't have a good brewery around. Have a
Have a good neighbor.
Have a good neighbor who's a good home brewer.
Does State Farm do beer? All right. Well, Chuck, hey, thanks for stopping by and chatting with us about beer. Is there anything you'd like to hear?
Yeah, that sounds good. How about some Gina's Dead from the Descendants off of Milo Goes to College?
All right, Punk Rock Foodies Radio.
All right, I'd like to thank Steve, Brian, and Skate Rat. I'd like to thank Chuck for joining us. I'd like to thank the people at the Vicious Pig Saloon here in downtown Mattersville. I'd like to thank you, the listener. If you have any graphic design needs or video needs, check out Burning Rose Studios. Also check out Betty Gear on Facebook. And come on over to Punk Rock Foodies on Facebook. Nearly 4,400 members, making food, posting pictures of our food, great ideas, contests all the time. Join us, won't you? Make food, post a pic. Bone Ape Kid, everyone. There's going to be a lot of your jokes that nobody laughs at. That's the thing.
That's no different than any other day.